space. I need some time to feel free and enjoy.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another brand new video. Obviously, you've become accustomed to the type of video that I've been putting out throughout the week. This is ranking greatest defenders of the Premier League era, obviously from the greatest of all time to not necessarily the worst of all time, but the perhaps not so good. So obviously, as you can see from right now, you'll be able to see a range of defenders on the screen for your viewing entertainment. Obviously, we are going to be ranking these as of right now, recording. It's not pre-recorded. It will be pre-recorded in terms of going out, but it's not pre-recorded. I'm doing this right now. So starting with Ashley Cole, I think there's only one place this guy can end up, and that's, I say end up, that's be put in the greatest of all time, because left backs, it doesn't come any better than, he was never mind the greatest left back of all time in the Premier League. He was up there certainly as the greatest left back of all time, just in general. I think, from his Arsenal days to his Chelsea days, the standard never slipped, and he always pushed that boundary, and obviously always pushed himself to the limit, and obviously always exceeded expectation, and as I say, always pushed the standard higher and higher for the future left backs to try and reach. Same can be said for the next four, which ironically they're all Man United, and three of the four I know for and actually have seen necessarily. Maybe I haven't seen Stam play, but I've watched videos and obviously, and just know the type of defender he is. So starting with Dennis Irwin, I think Dennis Irwin deserves to be put in category B, because he was a category B defender in terms of the defence that he was playing in. He wasn't always played, and not always, he was like an unsung hero. So I guess we could maybe call the B and C unsung heroes kind of category. So he just played in such a solid defence that a lot of the work that he did went unnoticed, and a lot of the centre backs that he would be paired with or partnered with would get the accolades. So yeah, I believe that's why. And the same could be said, but in legendary status, Gary Neville should be immortalised as a right back. He just ridiculous. He made defending look ridiculously easy. He scared the lights out of Jose Antonio Reyes one game. I remember very, very, very vividly. And that not only that, obviously he was just an absolute incredible defender. For England also. So for all round, throughout his career, standard never slipped, much like Ashley Cole. The reason why these are being put in the GOATs and the greatest of all time, because their standard never slipped. They always were improving, always pushing the boundaries, season in, season out, working hard, making sure that the standard remained so high that they would only be mentioned in their retrospective positions. So, and I guess the same could be said for the next two. The next two are going to be in category A, because they were just absolutely terrifying to play against. Gary Pallister and Jaap Stam, I think they both more or less partnered each other at one point or another in their careers. And to be quite honest, I think, as I say, they were absolutely terrifying to play against. So that doesn't really need any more of an explanation. They were category A defenders. They weren't quite the greatest of all time, but again, you've got to be so consistent in my eyes to be even considered one of the greats. And that's not to say the three that aren't in the GOAT category are not. It's just they perhaps I don't know, like they tailed off towards the end of their careers. Perhaps I'll leave it to you. So obviously join the conversation down below. Obviously, but moving. Obviously, this is where we come into. I mean, some of these defenders on here don't necessarily actually deserve to be on here. But again, obviously, there are probably more than. There's only, like, from what I can see, maybe three. I'll leave you to guess them who they are. But obviously, moving on, Jamie Carragher. I think a lot of you are probably calling for me to put him next to Gary Neville, being as they're now Sky Sports buddies and obviously work colleagues and whatnot. But the style of defender Gary Neville and retrospectively Jamie Carragher were very similar in terms of, because they played similar positions. Obviously, I think Jamie Carragher was slightly more versatile in terms of he could tuck in and play as a centre back, whereas Neville, you wouldn't necessarily put him as a centre back, if ever. The only thing I can sort of say to split them, there's not a lot to split them. But the only thing I can say is that obviously it might be stating the obvious, but Gary Neville was a better right back. But Jamie Carragher, his career consistent throughout. He was, just again another terrifying defender. So I guess we should actually label. I don't know. You'll see as the labels like towards the end. I'll label the retrospective categories as obviously the type of defenders that they have in there. Being terrified to play against, I mean, there's only probably one, maybe two defenders, three at a push that you would think of. None more so than Mr. Steal Your Girl, John Terry. That's that aside, he was absolutely phenomenal. Again, much like his partner of late partner in England terms, international duty. I believe that's Rio Ferdinand. Both of them two formed a formidable partnership, and they were just incredible. They were so hard to break down, so hard to get past, because they were both so fast. And obviously Rio comes with his own ego as well as John Terry does, and that comes with being so good, and that comes with being at the top of your game for many, many years, and obviously maintaining the standards and always rising to the standard that needs to be met. So the reason why I've put both of them in there, obviously, I mean, there's out of the 7 or 8, there's a lot of Man United in there, but to be quite honest, you can't really begrudge that, if as it were, because I mean, United had and have had some of the world's greatest defenders, and to be quite honest, as much as it might pain me to do it, I'm going to put Kolo Touré in a category B. He actually came as a right midfielder to Arsenal, and I don't know if it's a known thing, but he came as a right midfielder. Arsene Wenger said, look, I know you can do a lot better. Do you fancy your chances in breaking into this this kind of midfield that Arsenal had at the time? So coincidentally, chose to put him at the back with Sol Campbell. Ironically, I'll choose him next, and obviously he's going to be going in because they won the double in their first season together, which, to be quite honest, I don't think that's ever been done before. Two new defenders coming into a side, one that actually came as a right mid, and obviously Sol Campbell, I mean, words don't do him justice, because he was just an absolute rock solid at the back, and for Arsenal, and obviously for Spurs as well. Kolo Touré, perfect partner for him, pacey, just read the game so well. And if one of them got, if an attacker got past one of them, the other one was always there to sweep up, and that was obviously the partnership that a lot of it will be remembered for. And I think that type of defender is just what we need right now, to be quite honest. And I'm sure my fellow Arsenal fans would definitely agree. I'm going to go with actually two defenders. Ironically, both played for Spurs. They're in my own eyes, they're going to be put in the lower part of the categories because of injuries. Injuries have hit both of them, that being Ledley King. I mean, the Ledley King, for potential, it was endless. He, the world was his oyster. If he could remain injury free, the world was literally his oyster. He was literally that good. He could have played for anyone. And I actually strongly believe that. I know I'm talking about a Spurs player in such glowing terms, but at the type of player he was, as the type of player he was, that type of real rock solid defender. Do you know what? I'm not even going to put him there, because even though injury did plague his career, I think he deserves better than that. I'm not going to do him dirty. I think with regards to injuries as well, and whatnot, it's too early to tell if Kyle Walker is a Premier League great. I think the same can be said with William Gallas. I don't think, from the teams that he played for, obviously Arsenal, Chelsea, and whatever, he never really kicked on. He never really, the standard was kind of set, and it was just a set standard every year. It was never, he never pushed that gap, never bridged the gap towards the elite centre backs. So that being said, obviously, he finds himself in sort of, at the moment it's C, but I'll rate the categories as the video finishes. The next two, formed an absolute incredible partnership, and I think, to be honest, one definitely deserves to be in the greatest of all time, that being Tony Adams. I think the words, again, with many of these defenders, words do not do them justice. They are just incredible defenders in terms of the style of defender they were, and obviously what they give to the team. The work rate, the passion, the determination, the grit, and everything was embodied from Mr. Arsenal. He came out with that famous quote, "Play for the name on the front and never remember the name on the back." That said it all, to be quite honest. That set the standard for future generations of centre-backs. And to be quite honest, I wish there was a younger Tony Adams out there, to be quite honest. And if there was, I'd want Arsenal to sign him. We'd probably be way behind most of the signatures. Not signatures, but the teams vying for his signature. But again, that's just where we are right now. Never been a fan of Wes Brown. I might be doing him a little bit dirty there, but he's the only one that's going to end up, as far as I'm aware. He might be joined by another one out of the remaining few. I can't see many reasons why I should put him any higher. That's just the way it is. I think that's a fair kind of reflection. I don't think, obviously, I think there will be maybe one or two out there that say, oh, he should be a bit higher or whatever, but, he did this, he did that, whatever. But I don't remember him doing anything all that interesting and anything all that memorable. The same can't be said for Nemanja Matic, Nemanja Vidic. As soon as I hear Nemanja, I always go with Matic, because obviously that's just the modern day kind of footballer in me, modern day football fan in me. But those two, ironically next to each other, Ferdinand and Vidic, absolute insane partnership that they formed at Manchester United. Probably similar to Martin Keown and Tony Adams and Carlo Torre and Sol Campbell. Just incredible the way they complemented each other's game. They complemented each other's game as I say, when I mentioned Carlo Torre and Sol Campbell, if an attacker got past one of them, the other player or other defender was always there to snuff the danger out and get the ball away. And they would do it with such elegance. And, it wasn't just a hoof upfield, it was a, play out and make sure you find a teammate. So that being said, I'm going to continue the kind of theme with Man United kind of players. Patrice Evra, I mean, certainly not one of the GOATs. I mean, contrary to other opinions, but obviously this is all based upon my own. I don't think he was a great as such. I think he was a good player, very good, very consistent, but very, as a left back. And there's only, obviously, as you say, there's only so much fullbacks can do if you haven't got great centre halves. But then, you're kind of a little bit redundant in terms of being fullbacks. But he was very consistent and very just well-rounded, just amazing going forward, amazing defending, and just embodied what that United. I mean, it was those three at the back with Gary Neville. It was those three and Gene Ev at the back. I mean, the name a striker in this day and age that would get a look in against that back four. I'd struggle myself personally, and as did many strikers back in the day. Can't go wrong really with mentioning Martin Keown. I think he was, again, I'm going to put in category B because I think obviously he's in good company with Dennis Irwin, Ledley King, Carlo Torre, Sol Campbell, and obviously Martin Keown slotting in right there. And then very well-rounded and just, I mean, the countless memories that he's provided for Arsenal fans over the years is just they are absolutely endless. I mean, the one against Man United where you know, the whole Van Nistelrooy thing kicked off and whatnot. I won't go into it obviously too much, but damn, that was, you know, that was good watching. And you know, it wasn't just that. He was so hard to break down. He was so quick. He read the game so well, and that's why he formed such an amazing partnership with Tony Adams, and that's why Arsenal was so successful at that time in football. Moving on to a Liverpool duo. Liverpool duo being the first of which is Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk, I believe, already. I know a lot of people will say perhaps it's too early to say, you know, because obviously we had in previous videos too early to say category. I'm gonna put him into the greatest of all time. I think even at the early age and the early stages of his career, he's proved that he's one of, if not the greatest defenders that have played the game. And that's, you know, that's me being not as nice as I can. That's me being as real as I can. So, you know, without sort of dwelling on that too much, because it doesn't need explaining in terms of, you know, the type of player he is and what he brings to the side. That's it. Marcel Desailly, again, finds himself in category A. Terrifying to play against. You know, he was just a well-rounded, good with the ball at his feet, great challenges, great tackles, great, you know, just great leader. And that's, I think that's what one word that could describe Marcel Desailly would be. My word would be leader. And I think, you know, again, that's reflected upon his career. If you look all the stats season by season, they get progressively better and better and better and better. And the final four are by no means least. Obviously, they're not chosen to be the sort of final four. Steve Bruce, for my eyes, would be a category B defender. By no means category B would be a bad thing, I guess. Like, not, it's certainly not a discredit. You can talk about it as, you know, amongst yourselves down in the comments during the conversation. And, you know, in terms of the type of defender he was very, very good, along with, you know, the likes of Pallister, Stam, Irwin, Neville, Ferdinand, Matic, and all, basically everyone in their own right deserves, obviously. I mean, this is only my opinion, so feel free to definitely leave yours in the comments in the conversation. Another one that I never really resonated with was Ricardo Carvalho. I don't know. I mean, for me, you know, it was Ricardo Carvalho and William Gallas. Both, I believe it was both of them together with John Terry. And I couldn't get it in my head, to be quite honest. And the final two, to wrap the video up, will find themselves in category A. Vincent Kompany, again, words don't need, you know, I don't need to explain just how good a defender he was, along with very similar type of defender, Sam Hyypiä. And that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, there's only going to be a couple more videos that I put out, and obviously that you will see. Like I've mentioned before, going to be taking a break from next Sunday, just kind of recharge, and also sorry, I was checking computer one a bit down. But yeah, I'm going to be taking a break to recharge, obviously, with what everything's kind of, you know, with what's going on in the world, taking care of my loved ones, and obviously just taking a break, basically. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you are new around here, I would encourage you to subscribe. I'd appreciate it highly. Enjoy your day, your month, your year, your life. Peace.